Hey guys, welcome back to Real Estate Unfiltered. I'm Marlee Russell, and I'm a real estate agent based out of Roanoke, Virginia. I'm pretty psyched for my guest tonight. Actually, I haven't talked to him in a while when we go way back, all the way back to high school. And he is working full time, has the cutest 1-year-old ever that's probably going to upstage him pretty shortly. And he just did a multi state move. So without further ado, Kevin Boufford, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
But seriously though, in all honesty, how are you still standing and working and being a new dad and moving into a new place and city for that matter?
I ask myself the same question every day, to be honest with you. I don't know. Honestly, this has been, I think I went in ignorant to the move, and it was just very convenient, to get here and then deal with all the stress. But I mean, ultimately, my job is pretty easy. It has complete schedule flexibility. So throughout the move, like we've had all the stress of the kid,
Mm-hmm.
the dog readjusting, getting back into work and setting up the house, getting rid of boxes. But um, I don't know, really just the hours is kind of where I've been able to excel a little bit.
Awesome. And since I didn't even say this in the intro, you are a loan officer, right? With Reach Home Loans, correct?
Correct. So not necessarily just a loan officer. The point of the move actually was to take my loan officer position I had in Florida and basically
Mm-hmm.
try to expound on that up here in Nashville and build a team. So as of today, just an LO in Nashville, but end goal would be to try to develop some sort of, some sort of team and essentially a branch up here in Nashville.
That's awesome. So do you have any folks underneath you or like team members currently, or are you just trying to like find the right fit for that right now?
So good question. Currently, it's me. I'm a one-man army, right? So the goal is basically to get our name out there, get what we do differently out there, more or less meet people. It's the
Mhm.
benefit of my job is I get to just be friends with people, and then maybe business happens. So that's the goal, and eventually we'll hire LOs, we'll hire processors, and we'll build an entire team out here. Um, but for the time being, amongst all the other stresses, I am a one-man show running a company. Yeah.
Awesome. So was that was the main reason for the move then, not just to get back to like Virginia and closer to family and friends, or was that kind of a
A
twofold?
little bit of both. It was definitely twofold. So I looked at it as an opportunity for work.
Mhm.
Now I grew up in Virginia, so living in Florida is like, I don't hate on anyone from Florida. Like I love all you guys, but like different culture, right? People are
Yeah.
not Southern comfort. They are not hanging out and being nice, more or less. They're not nice. It's the best way to put it. Sorry, but moving here, our family is here. Her parents are here. My family's only a few hours away now, and honestly, getting back to the Bible Belt and just like that,
Mhm.
like I guess woods feeling is what I'm used to. To raise a kid in, rich suburban South Florida just wasn't really I don't know, it wasn't in our 5-year plan.
Yeah, it did look fun though. I was pretty jealous whenever it was like gross winters and I just see you at the beach. I'm like, cool, all right. um,
Yeah, we had that going for us.
yeah. So I guess kind of throwing it way back. So we met in high school. Did you go to Bull Run? Or you did, right?
I went to Bora Middle for in 5th grade. Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like we didn't really like meet until high school and then we kind of fell into the same group and all that. But do you think back in high school, because I know for me, I know the answer. Did you think that you were going to be doing this at this age, being in lending
No,
all this?
this was a fluke. This was a fluke. Like luck of the draw is how I fell into this job. Like entirely.
Tell me that
When I
story.
was a
How
kid
did
in high school, I had no idea what I was going
I
to do.
think most people don't, and most people fall into their career, um, and just somehow like it just works out for them. I know like my first like I thought I was going to be like a fashion writer going to New York, and then that didn't happen. Went into recruiting, and then I was like, no, I have a passion for real estate. So it kind of all like you know different stepping stones, I guess. But how did you fall into the real estate world?
You mentioned it earlier. So my wife got pregnant. That was like the easiest solution. So I wish I had like this very like elaborate story of,
Hey, that's a big
my
story.
closing scenario and how when I bought my first house and how beautiful the situation was. But I mean, truth be told, I bought my first house and I had no idea what happened. Right. So like a close friend of mine was the lender and he did a great job. And a close friend of mine was my real estate agent and they did a great job. But I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that this would be my new monthly payment and it was less than the rent. And like, it's supposed to be a good idea to buy a house.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, my wife gets pregnant. We're living in the house that we just bought. Right. And I decided like, all right, I can't work in cars anymore. So my whole career was car business, 60-hour weeks, financing vehicles. And it was a great job. I love the people I work with, but to support a family, it didn't fit the bill. So I found an ad on Indeed that was typed out extremely well. I want to thank Adam Stevens at Reach Home Loans for that, but he sucked me in, and I learned about the experience that I had buying a house, and from there, honestly, I got lucky. I met a good group of guys and just fell in love with the real estate industry. So
Awesome.
I hope I was creative, and I don't have any really cool story on that.
No, I feel like that's a cool story too. And that is a big, crazy milestone that kind of makes you put things into perspective of, okay, I'm having a family now and we got to figure it out and, I got to provide. So no, I think that's awesome. But it just is it just helps out even more that it seems like you definitely have a passion for it and you love it, especially from seeing like some of the videos you've posted. It's not like the stuffy stuff that you see. You seem personable on the camera and everything. So good job on that front with that.
I appreciate that. That's the most intimidating thing of my entire job is sitting in front of a camera. Honestly, it's so hard. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's why I said, bring a glass. It's fine. And no, I don't usually have this big of a pour. It's half and half. It's a ginger ale and wine, but
whatever you guys, everyone, that's fine.
I know it's fine. Whatever you can think. It's just grape juice. It's fine. So, how are you juggling? How are you juggling work and being a new dad, though? Because that's being a new dad in itself is a lot, and then add in full-time work, it's wild.
That's a good question. So, it actually hasn't been the easiest. One thing I found in my job is a lot of times in between the hours of 12 and 3, I'm doing nothing. Like I could be doing stuff, right? Like I'm doing stuff like shooting videos or I'm, reviewing new market trends or something of that nature. But I'm not talking with a client. I'm not helping them buy a home. I'm not answering their questions necessarily. And during those hours is usually when, I would be away at work. And then I would get home around 5 or 6 and, I'd be available for the, home life, right? Being a dad. So it's been a little bit rough. Don't get me wrong, because I don't predict my schedule at all. The benefit I've found is with this transition, with the job I work, is on the weekends when no one calls, right? There's no pre-approval to do. There's no borrower asking if they're eligible. I get the ability to just have the entire day to not worry about anything and kind of spend time with him. But more importantly, I get to take a little bit of responsibility off my wife's shoulders. Because she puts in the 8 a.m. till I'm done working, every single day. So any couple hours, I more or less just try to throw them in there. It's definitely not a big task to hang out with that.
Even giving her like 30 minutes, I'm sure she's just like, thank you. Let me just scroll my phone aimlessly and do like not have to think for a second. I'm sure she probably just appreciates that.
Just to go shower, like
just like the bare necessities. That's all. But he's adorable. And he just turned 1 in October, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
So
awesome.
he's
how did you guys go ahead.
A year and 4 months now. A year and 4 months.
Awesome. Are you doing the whole, he's 15 months old, he's 16 months old type thing, or have you already just kind of switched to he's a year?
He's a year old. Yeah.
I always, whenever Finn was little, I was just like, I can't do math that quickly in my head. That's just not not me. So I'm just gonna say he's 1. He's 2. It's just easier that way.
Yeah.
But but just kind of changing topics a little bit. In your line of work, just like mine, I feel like there's a lot of cold calling involved. So I kind of wanted to ask you, what is like the funniest cold calling experience you've ever had? Like first thing that comes to mind.
Oh, all right. Funny for me or funny for everybody else? Um,
Whichever one you want to say.
I mean, listen, cold calling is the name of the game, right?
Yep.
You got to do it. You don't cold call, you're genuinely going to be behind. And you don't just got to cold call, you got to do it appropriately, respectfully, and you got to do it well. I have been told to screw off in a lot worse verbiage more times than I can count. And to everyone else, that's probably hilarious. But to me, I mean, that's the funniest thing, you know? I think my funniest story, actually, I started calling a list of buyers from Colorado. And somehow this guy got in the mix of that list, and he had no interest in buying a home. He owned a home. And this dude wanted to talk about cars. He had just bought this new Challenger. So I talked to this guy for like over an hour. Yeah, it was great. I mean, we had a great time. This became a friend quickly.
Okay.
But we talked about cars. And the end result of that entire scenario was we actually refinanced his house to pay off his new Challenger to make his wife happy and also get her the new windows she wanted in the home. And I had no intention of selling this guy anything. Like, we talked cars and became friends. And literally after wasting an hour of my workday just hanging out on the phone with a stranger, we actually had a deal cultivate, which was kind of cool.
That's awesome though. But I mean, that's a very easy scenario because I mean, with recruiting, I get told everything in the book and then some, and I'm just like not even fazed by it anymore. So it kind of prepared me for being an agent. But I mean, build those relationships, and it's really hard for someone to give you business if you don't have that relationship built. So over that hour of talking, like he kind of realized, okay, this guy isn't just trying to sell me something. Like we have something in common, and you get chatting about it. And then he's like, okay, this guy's kind of cool. Then it kind of progresses from there. Because a lot of people, they want to make a deal with someone who they have a relationship with. They don't really want to make a deal with a stranger or a robot. It's not fun for them. I mean, some people might want to, but not in my experience. But that's cool though. That's cool that you still make a deal. But you're right. You get
totally just cool. Like, there's a lot more details, but it was that guy. If he ever sees this video, he's gonna be like, he's talking about me. He's gonna know exactly who we're talking about. So.
Well, you shared a nice one then, because I'm sure there's been some that you're like, probably shouldn't share that out. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up, because I was doing some stalking, I say research, but a lot of people consider it stalking. So I was looking at Reach Home Loans and and I was looking at your guys' website. And to be honest, I love the slogan of a realtor's best friend, because honestly, I tell my clients that, like, just like I want to be their best friend, and I'm the one who's looking out for you as far as showing you the home, trying to make sure that you don't get into something over your head. So many other factors to that, but making your lender your best friend too, because you're signing up for something usually for 30 years. So you need to know all of the information. And if you don't know something, ask the question. If they can't answer that without making you feel dumb, like you need to feel comfortable to ask that, not feel dumb, and get a full answer in return. They're not the lender for you. So I just thought that was a really cool slogan that you guys had right at the top.
Thank you.
But let's see. So
if I can respond to the you just said, actually,
go right ahead.
You
Yeah,
mentioned
you're allowed.
like the importance. I say, so when I got in this business, I saw these guys online, right?
Mhm.
And I stalked it, right? I researched it. And I was like, all right, mortgages, you make a lot of money. And I saw these guys that do like a lot of refis, and they do a lot of like reverse mortgages, and they do all this stuff, and they were the same as the car guys that I left, right? So what I loved about purchase lending is that my job is to, it isn't necessarily directly to the client, it is to you, you know?
Mhm.
So I appreciate you noticed that little thing. Like I didn't even know it was an option when I made that Instagram, but that I could put a realtor's best friend. Because that's, I mean, look, my job is to make sure that clients have the best deal, but ultimately, like my position in this field is to be a servant essentially to the realtor and to have all the
Yeah.
benefits that they may need. So you're the first person to have noticed that, including my boss.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah. I hope he sees
kudos.
this too.
Hopefully he will. Um, no, but I mean, I know I try to make them my best friend too. I have several lenders that I chat to up here, and there's been a couple that I'm just like, okay, I got a weird feeling. But the ones that definitely like, because I'm still new to the game and I want to know everything so I can tell my client exactly, the correct information and I'm not just guessing. So whenever anyone can make me feel like they've heard me and they're trying to explain it so I understand and I don't feel silly for asking it, I know they're going to talk to my client the same exact way. So it makes me feel more comfortable sharing, contacts and, referrals with them too. No, but that's cool. I like that you put that there. I thought that was awesome. Um, but this might be a big question for you. I know it probably would be for me, but no pressure, no pressure. What is one mistake you made on a transaction that has probably taught you the most?
Two things come to mind. So I got to pick from two. Honestly, there's one that what I actually learned the most from. I'll choose that scenario because I've had two scenarios where I made the humongous mistakes. Both of them were saved, which was lucky, but they weren't saved because of my expertise, saved because of my team, right? My branch manager, my boss, they figured out how to save it, which obviously helped me, but it's not the best answer in the world, to be honest. The biggest mistake I ever made, I got into this loan scenario for a borrower that genuinely could not approve. She really couldn't afford the house. And I kind of explained, hey, we're tight, like we're really tight. And we're about to get tighter, when we add all this kind of stuff in. Because with mortgages, you got to add in student loans, you got to add in the alimony, anything like that. And I was like, we're basically not qualified unless we look at doing bank statements. And we got into a bank statement loan scenario. And the issue fast forward, we did close this loan
Oh, awesome.
for 3 months later. But over the process, the borrower really wasn't qualified. She really couldn't get into the house. And the issue I had was that I sold this idea of like, we're getting this house, we're going to make it work, we're going to make it work. And the reason I learned a lot from it wasn't necessarily because the borrower was upset or she had a bad experience. She loved me, had a great experience. I honestly love her. I still talk to her. But she got into in this house eventually. I lost like 3 months of service to other clients, other loans that were in the pipeline because I was consistently calling it was a brokered loan. So it was an LO and underwriter, and consistently calling them and getting updates. And then I'm calling her and calling her out of hours. And it took so much time out of my process. Right. And I guess to say what I've learned the most is that as much sales skills as I could possibly have or personality or anything, it all doesn't mean anything without the process. And that specific loan sacrificed my process. And for longevity, it didn't just cost me money. It changed the service that I give to every client I have. It changed the process that I typically have every time a client applies for a mortgage. And no one necessarily noticed other than me. I noticed, threw me off kilter, and it stole my time. So yeah, that I would say that was the biggest mistake out of anything I've made this far.
Well, sometimes those mistakes are necessary, I kind of feel like, because we all have them, especially whenever we're brand new. Like how soon, how much of a rookie were you? Was that in like your first year doing it, or like the
6
first
months in.
months, 6 months in? So
6 months in. Yep.
I mean,
It's
enough, but it's also that's super new to the game. So it's like it's bound to happen, and it's like, how do you move forward and make it better and learn from it? So I mean, we've all had those. I've had plenty of mistakes and issues arise, and I've had to call my broker Kit and be like, what do I do? I think this is what I do, but tell me if I'm not on the right track or not. But that's why you also have those people in place, and it sounds like you have a really good team and boss to help you out. That's awesome. She still likes you too, because you never know. You never know in those scenarios. Where like it's not fully your fault, and there's something that happens, and you're like, you're just the middleman, and please don't hate me. Like I promise, I'm trying everything.
I mean, I'm sure you know on the real estate side too, no matter how much you try, some people will think that you're just the enemy for whatever reason. It could be a bad time, bad anything. And I've certainly come across those as well. But that specific borrower, yes, we talk more than we probably even should. I talk to her probably like weekly. And she sends me pictures of the house, and it was a dream come true. It really was. So that was not only the biggest lesson, but probably my most memorable loan. I have a couple that I would say like stand out amongst the norm. But that was definitely fun. Primarily because it took 4 months to close.
Yeah, you're probably like, finally, it's done. I did it.
The day that closed, I finally slept again. Yeah, I slept really well that night.
Yeah, you always sleep really well after closing, because I'm always like, it doesn't, it like even after you win out over like 4 other offers, it's like, all right, we still have to make it to home inspection. Okay, now we have to make it through negotiations. Okay, now we have to make it through lending. So like it doesn't count until like they're signing at the table and it's done and recorded. Then I'm like, all right, cool. I did my job. Next one. Probably how you feel too. But
Oh yeah.
kind of going off of like mistakes and like what you've learned from, what is, a couple pieces of advice that you would give someone who is just getting started in this business on your side of things, that you wish you would have known or prepared for coming in?
So I actually think I have a really good answer for that. Unprepared, but off the dome. The number one thing I've learned in this side of the business is being the best salesperson is not the win. It's not the solution to end all, right? I would humbly say that I've been very good in my sales career, right? And in cars, you sell, you sell, you sell, you sell, you sell, and you close and you get paid. And I got into mortgages, and I quickly realized that selling makes sense when you're on the phone and you're on a cold call and someone wants to refinance. But the number one piece of advice that if I could go back to like the day I started and say, Kevin, this is how you're going to actually be successful. This is how you're going to be comfortable in this career. It has nothing to do with being a good salesperson. It has everything to do with establishing a process, following that process, and making sure that that process is beneficial to your client. So don't get me wrong. I mean, we all do this job for a specific reason. We want to support our families. Like we want these fun trips, but ultimately, like we do provide a service, and especially on the loan side, I don't just provide a service when it starts. I provide a service when that loan ends, and where are they making their payments? Do they have updates on how they can better their financial situation with reducing rates and refinance? And all that stuff has nothing to do with me selling. It has everything to do with me following the process of basically our company. Our bosses have created their process, and we've all kind of commingled to make sure that we have an efficient process from application to close to market updates when they can refinance, et cetera. So the sales part comes naturally for someone like you or someone like me or, any real estate agent really. We have to be able to sell. Otherwise, why would we be in this industry, right?
Yeah.
But it was a hard transition to realize that that was not the most important thing. That the most important thing
Yeah.
in I guess all of real estate is process and making sure that process surrounds your customer.
Mhm. No,
I think I
I
said
think that
enough on that. Yeah.
no, I mean, plus 1,000 on that, because that's not just good for your aspect of, this side of the industry. It's good for everyone. Um, I know whenever, like the first couple of months, whenever I started, I was like, I feel like I'm floundering because like there's just so much that you could be doing and you have no process built out yet. And like you have an idea of what you want to do. And it's like putting it all in motion is like really tough. On top of selling yourself. And I love how you're like, yeah, like you like selling. And I'm like, well, it's kind of ironic because I feel like I'm the biggest introvert, but I can make myself be an extrovert. My husband rolls his eyes at that every single time I say it, but it's like you said, we all have different reasons why we do this type of work. Um, I feel like anyone would be lying if they were like, no, we're not in it for the money, because there is, you can be very successful with it. But I think the thing that makes good agents, differ from other agents, or, good loan officers, differ against bad loan officers, is how much they care about the client that they're working with and supporting. Because someone who's good at it, they're going to tell that client, no, you shouldn't buy this house. We can, but it's going to be a money pit, or you're going to have a lot of issues and be over your head, or, you're going to be house poor. Like, you need to do it in the best interest of your client, whatever that may be. And that might mean that you aren't going to be making a sale or a commission. At least that's just personally what I think. But I feel like you kind of have that same
Great.
mentality, especially whenever you're talking to your clients and you're like, we're going to be tight. I don't know. And trying to give them options. And obviously, like, if they want to push forward, we can try. But you need to give them all the information and lay it out on the table so then they can make the best decision for them. But I'll get off my soapbox on that because I could probably keep going on for a lot longer. Now, here's the one that I always kind of find difficult. And even with like 7 years of recruiting experience and this past year of real estate, how do you handle a difficult client or even a difficult agent to work with, like real estate agent to work with? I saw that eye roll.
All right, let's focus on the clients. Difficult clients. Wow, that's a good question. How? I guess I couldn't exactly tell you how I do it, but I'll tell you what I do.
You don't want to
Usually I kind of tone out. Do I?
You kind of what? I said, you don't want to tell us the secret. And then you said,
oh no, I'll
what?
expose all my secrets. I just don't want to embarrass myself. So with the difficult client, right? I've had the short-tempered days. I've had the days where everyone's saying the same thing. I've had days where I've taken 4 applications and not one of those borrowers qualified. And every single one of them were upset at me for them not qualifying. How do you handle that? I don't know. I don't know how you handle it outside of face-to-face. The one thing I've always known is like, I guess it takes years to build a good reputation, and it takes minutes to ruin it. And that rings true in my head. So I will talk to a customer who explains to me that they have all this money coming in, but on paper it's nowhere. And, their credit score is not above 600. And I have no loan option, nor does anybody else, but they're upset with me. How do you handle that? I guess I kill them with kindness, more or less. I try to resort to an educational approach when my personality is involved in things. If they're positive, I do well, but if they're negative, my personality doesn't do so well. So I take it out, I go educational. And the biggest thing I've found is if I ever leave on a bad foot with somebody, don't let it go, because that's the last memory they're going to have of me. So I have a CRM. We talked about cold calling, right? I keep notes in on every single call I have, even of friends, like agents that have become friends. I keep a note on every single person. The reason I do that is because if I have a bad experience, I'm going to call them back in 2 weeks when they're having a better day and see if I can change that relationship. And if I can't change the relationship, at least change the impression that they had on me so that moving forward, if we cross paths, it's a potential chance. And also just so I don't feel like anyone's upset at me ever. That's a humongous goal of mine.
That's such a good tip though, because I feel like a lot of people would just be like, all right, I'm done. Like we left off on a bad note. They're never going to work with me again. I'll just move on. I think that's a really good tip that it's kind of like the follow-up whenever you're trying to get a lead or trying to get a sale or something. It's the follow-up that really matters. Like I've had folks, never mind. I won't go into that because that'll just like add on too much time to this and you don't have enough time to keep talking about all that. But it's just like whenever you're trying to get a sale, it's like you want to follow up, especially in situations like that. You don't want to leave a sour taste in anyone's mouth. So like you said, hopefully it's going to be a better day and maybe they have kind of thought on it a little bit and taken into account, like it's not you specifically saying you don't want to do it for them. You've tried, but you can't with the financial profile that they have. So that's cool though. I like that. So what are your goals though for 23? Like,
Oof.
what are you trying to do? What big goals are you trying to do?
How much time do we have?
I mean,
if we have enough time, I'll go over all.
Go for it.
To give you a little idea of my goals.
Put it down into segments.
Okay. So I'll give you a couple brief segments, right? 2023, my biggest goal is very simple. My interests in Florida, where I worked down in South Florida, I was in cars, I was in mortgages, doing mainly refinances, going for deals, deal for deal for deal. And once that deal's closed, that's it. It's over. So I switched in Florida, actually, which primed me for this experience here in Nashville, to purchase lending, where essentially my job is to meet people like you, right? Real estate agents, and not just meet them, but more or less develop and build value in what we do and how we can attribute their business and help them grow with how many deals closing, how many agents they hire, if they can handle more agents. So my goals for this year are pretty simple. I want to meet as many people as possible. So I moved to Nashville. I've been here, maybe 4 months. We were back and forth a little bit. We had close friends' weddings. We had Thanksgiving, which was anything but relaxing, but it was great to see the family.
It never is.
So yeah, we hosted, right? So my goal is to meet people. I've actually been on campaigns lately, especially towards the end of the year. I created my own calling campaign. I kind of created my own leads to call, which is just agents in the area. And I don't think I've pitched any agent since I moved here. I'm just trying to get involved. And honestly, it's been great so far. I mean, Nashville is good for people, right? I know Virginia is great for people. The people are good. So I've been invited to golf. I've been invited to community service events, to speak at a real estate office. So my goal in 2023 is to multiply that tenfold. Hopefully deals come our way. We got to buy formula and stuff, but outside of that, the ultimate goal right now is essentially to plant our feet here, establish our company, and then grow it. Whether that's more people or just more connections, just to see, I guess, the ability to look back in a year and go, wow, a lot of stuff happened.
That sounds like it's going to be epic, honestly. The first thing, as lame as it sounds, I immediately thought, all right, so Kevin wants to be like Queen Elizabeth of England. And let me explain one more. That sounds really weird. But she literally shook the hand of like everyone. I know there's a stat and I need to pull it and find it, but I don't have a minute to do that right now. I'll do that in the show notes. But I thought there was like a stat that she's literally like shook the hand of like the most and met the most people in the world of like any one person. So the first thing that I thought of, I'm like, all right, Kevin's going to be like the Queen of England. and he's just going to meet everyone from, on the East Coast. It'll be great.
Hopefully, right? I'll keep my pinky up while I do it.
Yeah, all prim and proper.
But yeah, I don't know. That's what makes it fun, though. Like, I'm sure you agree with this. In this industry, like, the paperwork's not fun. Like, none of it. Like, putting together an offer for you isn't fun. Putting together a loan for me, I mean, the process is fun, but like the actual work, it's not fun. What's fun is the people, right? It's the country music event that we had a few days ago, where there's a country music artist and a bunch of agents can come for free. It's the weekend brunches that are hosted by some brokerage, where you meet up with all these people in the industry, and insurance and title. That's what makes this job not necessarily a job, but it's most of the days that I find tasked with something, I'm not working. I'm to the public, I might be working. To go out and meet people, go out and play golf, go out and have wine, go out and do community service.
Yeah.
To me, that's not work. It's just fun. And I've enjoyed it the past couple months being here with these people up here in Nashville. I really cannot wait to see how many people I can meet.
That's gonna be so exciting.
Call me Queen Elizabeth. I'll be her.
That'll be like your new hashtag. It'll be fine. We came up with it here. You're like, I don't know if I really want to stick with that, but that's fine. if it trends then who knows? Maybe you'll get a lead from it. And then you're gonna have to call me and be like, thank you, Marlee. And that's all I need.
I'll do a public thank you.
Okay, cool. That's all I need in life. But all right, so to wrap it up, because I know I've taken up a lot of your time, and you have a cute little one, and you also have a wife who probably wants your time too. Where can all the people find you? Instagram.
So easy. So my Instagram is brand new. It's reachhomeloans_Nash. My commitment to pretty much anyone that uses social media for educational purposes, updates. I'm going to be posting weekly. We've actually, we got a few things we're going to post that are funny for people to kind of check out. Not necessarily educational, just entertaining. So definitely reachhomeloans_Nash. Outside of that, reachhomeloans.com. So to see who I represent, the company I work for, it's obviously not just me, but to see what's been cultivated by the people that came before me. It's nothing short of impressive, at least in my eyes. But they're also funny. They are also very educational. So there's tons of videos, YouTube links. If you go to reachhomeloans.com, just to see more or less what makes us different. And I guess the energy, really. I mean, I've seen all these videos of people in suits, right? And I thought about putting a collared shirt on tonight, but this is what I wear at work. Like this is what I do. It's just very real, down to earth, and educational, I guess is the best way to say it. So Instagram is where to find me.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being the second guest ever on Real Estate Unfiltered. Seriously appreciate it. It was good to reconnect with you too. I was joking with my husband. I was like, I literally haven't actually face-to-face talked with Kevin since like senior year of high school. Like we've like messaged here and back, there and back, but like haven't actually talked to him. So it was good to catch up.
That's over 10 years now, right? Yeah, that's like 13 years ago now.
Yeah. Did you go to the reunion, by the way, or did you not?
No, I didn't. That was recently, like last year.
Yeah, I think so. And I feel like once it hits like the 20-year reunion, I'll probably go. But I feel like the 10 still felt like too soon. But also like then it made me feel sad because I was like, wow, I'm getting up there. I'm getting old.
I know, my knees hurt and stuff. It's weird.
It's like you get up from your chair and like you make a sound and you're like, oh, I'm turning into my parents. This is weird.
Yes.
Anyway, on that note, thank you everyone for joining another episode of Real Estate Unfiltered. I'm going to put in the show notes every place that you can find Kevin and all the videos, and reach out to him for any questions, and stay tuned. Pretty excited for some of the guests that are going to be lined up the following weeks. So have a good one and happy holidays.